This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. It is a Thursday here in Pittsburgh, but we have the final injury report, at least right now, for the Steelers.
Yeah.
And we
So it's
now
really
know
a Friday for them.
George Pickens will not play in Saturday's game against the Baltimore Ravens. And I think that's might be a little weather-related.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be kind of nasty down there on Saturday.
Conditions.
Not great field conditions, and so they're going to hold him out. No Justin Fields as well.
Okay.
He's had abdominal injury, and obviously as a quarterback, you do have to be able to throw the football a little bit.
Sure.
And so he will be out. Deshaun Elliott was a limited participant in practice today, but is doubtful to play, probably for many of the same reasons that Pickens might be out.
Right.
Dante Jackson was a limited participant today with the back issue. He is questionable. Larry Ogunjobi was a limited participant today. That gives him all 3 days of practice this week. He is also questionable. Full participants today: Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt with no injury designation.
Nice.
Landon Roberts, and Patrick Queen. So,
Okay. So defense, other than Elliott, looks like it's in good shape. Pickens is the news, of course.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was optimistic that he was going to play.
as was I.
And, I mean, another short week between now and Christmas, too. I mean, who knows?
Oh, he's
really
playing Christmas.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You think he's that close?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a big deal. I mean, downfield passing is obviously a key component, and he's their best weapon, and we saw with life without him already. It's not wonderful.
Given what Baltimore has been doing lately and how they've been playing, might this change, how they defend the Steelers, thinking, okay,
Oh, yeah.
they're not going to try anything deep, and then maybe you take a couple of shots. If they're playing single high, when normally they've been kind of playing some too high shells to take away the deep stuff, they put the safety in the box, and I've got Mike Williams out there. I've got Calvin Austin out there. I'm not going to shy away from taking a shot.
No, I think they'll take shots no matter what. I think that's a Russell Wilson thing. I think that's an Arthur Smith thing. We didn't see a lot against Philadelphia, but that they also didn't
have
many
the ball a whole
plays.
lot against Philadelphia, yeah.
I think they'll take shots no matter what. Off-play action, crowded boxes, all that type of thing. I just don't know where the football goes. You know, I mean, like, if he has 20 completions, who gets them? You know, I mean, I would think Warren gets a spike. Their receiving numbers against backs aren't great. I think Freiermuth has a chance to six catches, 7 catches, maybe something like that.
Austin had 5 for 65 last week against Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think Austin's quietly had a good year. You know, like, to me, if the 2 receiver sets for me should be Pickens and Austin, and then you can go from there after that. I mean,
he does limit somewhat, what you can't use him much as a blocker.
No.
But he as a receiver,
but he's dangerous, and he's a well-rounded receiver now. I
think
he would be out there a lot.
I think around the league, because I still see a lot of people kind of trying to pigeonhole him as a slot receiver.
No, I think that's
and
unfair.
He's not.
No, he's not. He wasn't coming out of school, and I know he does play a lot of slot, but he's not slot only.
Right.
No, I mean, I think that's a misnomer.
Yeah.
And in as many, even 1 receiver sets and 2 receiver sets they play, there's not a slot on the field all that much. You know? It's pure slot receiver.
And he's a guy, if you're a defensive back, you do have to respect the speed.
Oh, no question.
Because, if you try to jam him and you don't get him,
he's okay against press. And yeah, right.
So, just somebody to keep an eye on. Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's had a really solid season.
I mean, that's more of a big picture conversation. I mean, I think he's part of the future plans, and I'm glad he's on board. And, I'm not saying he's a 1-for-1 replacement for Pickens, but I'm glad he's going to be on the roster next year and be in the mix.
It would be interesting if in fact he were a reason why the Steelers won this game without Pickens, because if you remember, the Ravens were going to draft. They had 3 picks in that round 4 that year.
Oh, yeah.
They drafted 2 tight ends and a punter when they needed a receiver.
Yep. I mean, it was like foregone. They basically said that we were going to take him.
Yeah.
I think their interest was obvious. No, he's going to have a big game. I think you'll need more from Williams. Jefferson's solid. None of these guys are Pickens. I mean, it's just none of them change coverage to the point that George does. You know?
Yeah, right. That's the big thing is it changes how Baltimore is going to defend you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
much like it did with Philadelphia.
Yeah,
and we saw it against Cleveland as well. I mean, they even though they didn't know as far ahead of time, I'm sure in that hour and a half that they found out, okay, we don't have to play some of the coverages we're going to play here. We're going to put an extra guy in the box.
And every team that's faced him to this point probably has different rules whenever he's taking a play off too. You know, I mean, if he's not on the field, we're not shading to either side. Okay, now that's going to be the full-time move, even if it's a game-time decision situation. You know?
Yeah, so it doesn't.
But not great.
No,
but there is big picture stuff here at play.
Yeah,
there's big fish to fry down the road too.
The Ravens have some injury issues at the wide receiver position themselves.
Yeah, a little light. And Bateman's out, right?
Bateman was in a walking boot today.
Okay.
They actually added Owe to the injury report yesterday as well. Remember, we
didn't
have their injury.
Well.
We didn't have their injury report yesterday because they didn't send it out until later.
Mm-hmm.
Nelson Aguilar's got a concussion. He didn't practice Wednesday. He didn't practice.
Okay.
So for him to get cleared,
it's going to be a long shot.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good. Bateman got hurt yesterday, I should say, Wednesday. My days are all messed up this week.
It's these next couple weeks.
And was in a walking boot today.
Okay. I just got a blurb on my phone about him that he spotted today with a boot on his injured foot, did not practice today, and officially questionable for the game. That sounds highly
He's
questionable.
out. Yeah, he's not playing. If you're in a walking boot today, you're not playing on Saturday.
It's 2 days away. Right. So that's a big deal for him. He's had a good year. They like him a lot.
That's two of their top three receivers.
Yeah, and we were talking about it in the lobby. I would imagine that means a lot more 12 and 13 personnel for those guys. I mean, maybe that makes Minka on Andrews even more important.
Yeah.
And I would think likely is in line for more targets than maybe you thought. Kohler could be your chipper. You could probably live in Kohler, or I would think you see a lot of this. I would think you see Zay, likely, Andrews, Henry, and either Kohler or Richard.
Here's their problem.
Which is really only like 4 eligible receivers.
On their active roster, they only have 5.
Tight ends?
Wide receivers.
Oh, okay.
If you're down 2.
Yeah.
So that
one's Deontay Johnson, who's not going to play.
And he's not even listed on the roster.
Oh, that's on 1 to 5. Okay.
Yeah. So you got Zay Flowers, Devontae Walker, who just had his first career catch last week. He was a 4th-round pick this year. And Tylan Wallace, who was a 4th-round pick in 2021, who hasn't really done a whole lot.
No, he made a big play earlier in the year. I can't remember if it was a punt return or a long catch or something.
He had a long catch against the Bengals, and that up and down, it was the Bengals.
Mm-hmm. Walker's a deep threat, kind of linear dude. Fell in the draft. I mean, nothing super great to write home about, but he was kind of a name going into the draft process. But would you put Porter on Zay?
Yeah.
I think I would.
Yeah,
I think that's the move. I mean, Jackson's got back stuff going too, and
the only thing with Porter on Zay Flowers is that they move him around so much, and there's a lot of behind the line of scrimmage stuff.
And also his style of receiver is a little smaller, shiftier.
Yeah,
but still, I want my best guy on him.
Yeah,
I mean, if I can spend a large percentage of snaps with Minka on Andrews, Porter on Zay, and their next best guy is likely, that's not scary. Yeah,
it's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Maybe all the passing props should be going down in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, how they throwing the football. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is T.J. Watt is in.
Right.
So you got
You're
Roger
not blitzing, or
you got Roger Rosengarten against T.J. Watt again.
Yeah, that's why I was going back to Ricard or Kohler getting a fair amount of snaps too on that side, of course, and then of course there's a ripple effect. Stanley's probably gonna have to deal with Highsmith, Herbig on his own. And that's why you pay him, and that's what you do with good left tackles. But that doesn't mean he wins every rep.
No, I expect Highsmith to win some of those.
Yeah, me too.
And you still have to deal with Cam Hayward coming up the middle.
I say Cam Hayward against your left guard's a problem without question too. No, the D line greatly favors the Steelers, and I don't know if the coverage units do, but it's got a lot easier to decipher.
It's a lot more pared down at this point.
Yeah.
Because Bateman isn't a great player, but he's made plays this year. Aguilar's not a great player,
year, right?
But he's made plays this year.
Yeah, you have Aguilar for like this situation.
Yeah,
you know, like okay, he's not the ideal starter, but he has started. We're familiar with him. Count on him.
It would be like if the Steelers. Which one would you rather have right now? Would you rather have the Steelers situation where you don't have your number one?
I'd rather have Zay.
Or would you rather have?
We're not talking about tight ends.
I'm talking about which situation would you rather have?
I'd rather have the Ravens.
You got your number one, but you don't have your
two or three.
Yeah,
I know.
And you don't have the depth that the Steelers have either. At the wide receiver
you
position. Like you got Zay Flowers, and that's it.
No, I went the difference maker though.
I get that.
Yeah.
But
it's a conversation.
On 3rd and 5, the difference maker's getting covered.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's why they're difference makers.
Yeah.
They make plays in those situations.
They're getting double teamed in those situations, and these other guys are the ones that got to win their one-on-one battles.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, no, neither one's perfect. That's for sure. It's not what you asked, but the fact that they have 2 really good receiving tight ends is helpful too.
Yeah,
as opposed to 1.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. Thus far, that Likely's playing 54% of the offensive snaps. Andrews is at 59. Bateman's played 70% of the snaps. He's played almost as much as Zay Flowers. So I mean, are you going to have?
Oh, they love Bateman.
Yeah,
I mean they were.
Aguilar's played 45, almost as much as Likely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's played 46% of their offensive snaps. So you're taking a guy that's played 70% of the snaps. You're taking a guy that's played 46% of the snaps out of the equation. They play more than Ricardo's only played 38% of the snaps.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that adds up. I mean they're the lowest 11% team in the league.
Kohler's played 25% of the snaps. So you're going to ask these guys in a big game to
they're going to have to do more.
Do a lot more.
I think you would have anyways though. I mean they're still going to be your chippers. I mean I think Likely's the one that gets the big boost. Where I think you'd have seen if Bateman's out there, I would think you go Kohler and Andrews. And Kohler's on TJ's side, where now it's like, well, Isaiah, you need to step up, and we need some pass catchers now.
Here's the thing that it really does, though, to me, is it maybe makes Lamar Jackson have to hold the ball a little bit more than maybe he would have.
I was wondering if he would run more.
And that's a possibility.
More,
yeah.
Right.
Because here's the thing. Tylan Wallace has played 177 snaps this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's played basically.
I think he's their punt returner is why he's active, right?
He's basically played 10 snaps a game or so, 10 to 15 snaps a game. He's at 19% overall.
He's a throw in when those guys need a breather guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Devontae Walker's played 17 snaps all season.
I think it was all last week, too.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of garbage time.
In garbage time, yeah.
Giants team, right. With Aguilar out. Get the young guys some reps.
It's not ideal.
I think you're going to
for
see
them.
a lot of one receivers on the field for those guys.
Yeah.
Which they're equipped to do that. They do that kind of stuff more than most teams, but still inevitably, as Greg Cosell says, it's 3rd and 8 sometimes.
It also makes them a slower team.
Yeah, 100%. And Hill's an okay receiver, but it'd be different maybe if you had a really dynamic pass-catching back as your number one.
Yeah.
McCaffrey's your one. Kamara's your one,
They don't throw the ball to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's played 54% of the snaps.
Yeah, that one shocks me. I thought that'd be higher. I mean, there's been stretches early in the season in particular where he's just standing there. I'm sure there's some blow-ups or blowout situations. Like I'm sure he didn't play the 4th quarter against the Giants.
Yeah,
but he's also your closer.
Right. I mean, we'll put it this way:
Sounds like they're rotating offensive personnel more than I realized.
Lamar Jackson has played 97.6% of the snaps. He hasn't been hurt all year, so he's
out. Right.
Been out for. Basically, they played Falele's the only guy that's played every offensive snap for the Ravens this year.
Is it really?
915, and Lamar's played 893. So you're looking at,
Did Lamar get hurt for a little bit, or did they just pull him for?
Pulled him. He didn't play like
the game. Yeah.
So really, what you're looking at there is, with a guy like Henry, is he's just not been he's not out there on any passing downs at all.
No, he is not.
If they're in hurry up mode, they're at the end of a half. He's not out there at all.
There's a lot of times he's a certain type. I mean, he is a banger, early down, short yardage dude. Yeah.
I mean, Derrick Henry.
They should use him more.
Derrick Henry has played 79 more snaps this season Now, this is over, 14 games?
Mm-hmm.
So basically 5 snaps per game more than Nelson Aguilar.
I get that. I mean, most teams with number one back versus third receiver is close. But this team doesn't use a third receiver much, and he's Derek freaking Henry. Right.
He's played 4 more snaps than likely.
I think there's a reason to become a little, not that he's complaining, but if you're being critical of the team, I would have him out there more.
He's played less than 100 snaps more than Justice Hill.
Yeah, that's a little odd, too.
Justice Hill has played.
They love Hill.
About 45% of the snaps. He's played 407 offensive snaps, and Henry, again, is at 499.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of these things is not like the other.
No, 100%. I don't know if that's why they're don't have a better record or any of those type of things.
I think sometimes it might be, though, because
I think there were
some games early on where they weren't,
I mean, Harbaugh even came out and was saying things like, well, we're not dedicated to one guy and things like that early in the season. Well, you should be if you're going to hire.
Yeah, if you're going to have that guy.
Yeah. That's surprising it's that low, but.
Like, he didn't have a carry in the fourth quarter. He wasn't on the field a snap in the fourth quarter against the Steelers the first time around.
Yeah, were they in hurry up? I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
they were
he's
down.
Just never going to be out there for that. Yeah.
And that's, to me, is like.
It's all very situational.
You were only down a score.
Mm-hmm. Don't go to hurry up then.
Right.
Don't go to, that package.
I mean, you still get, he gives you the threat back there of potentially breaking one. And, by the way.
He's not Jerome in his prime where he can't hit a home run either.
No.
You know what I mean? Like he's
as capable as anybody on their roster of going 70 yards.
In terms of explosives, right.
Yeah.
That is considerably low considering his talents. And I doubt there's been many fourth quarters where he's just sitting over there with the hat on giggling,
No. They've been
Giants are different.
They've been in a lot of close games this year. I just want to look at his career numbers in terms of snap counts.
I mean, he's never been a big third down or passing down.
No,
of course, but
you still think he would be okay. So since 2016, 27%, 40%. He was a part-time player early in his career.
Rookie year. Chris Johnson, I think, was still there.
64%, 66%, 71%, 67%. Last year in Tennessee, it was 53%, but he was dinged up a little bit at times.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And then this year, it's 55%.
It's low. But he's not young, and he's had a lot of wear and tear. But
I get it, but
still, I would be using him more than that.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And, Matt, there's kind of a big game tonight in the NFL. And I say it's kind of a big game. It's a big game.
It is a big game.
And if you start looking at why, I just saw the headline here on ESPN or on Pro Football Talk said Burrow will be keeping an eye on what happens in the Denver Chargers game.
I would imagine, yeah.
And the reason for
they're
that,
not dead yet.
They're not dead yet, but they could be.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the Chargers win tonight,
So they're definitely rooting against the Chargers.
yes, the Chargers would improve to 9-6.
Yeah.
So they'd have 9 wins. That would be their 6th conference win. They'd be 6-4 in the conference.
Goes a long way.
And Cincinnati would be 6-8. They're 3-6 in the conference.
That's 6 losses in the conference is massive for them.
Yeah. And so when you look at it, they also they play yet? No, yeah.
Indy's still alive too, right? I think so,
technically.
Yeah.
But the Chargers have the head-to-head win
over Cincy.
Okay. So if you're a Steelers fan, you want the Chargers to win this game.
I think.
There's no I think about it. Here's why.
Okay.
If the Bengals are eliminated,
yeah,
Burrow ain't playing in that last game of the season.
I would assume not. Between him and Herbert, they have like 10 injuries.
Yeah. But if they had something to play for, he would be playing.
I see where you're going with this, and I 100% agree.
Now, here's the problem with all this. After the game against the Broncos tonight, the Chargers then are at the Patriots and at the Raiders.
Yeah.
They're not going to they're going to have more than 9 wins.
More than 9 wins. They're going to get to 10 at some point.
Yeah.
I would say 10's their floor. If they have 9, I think they're going to lose tonight. they're on a 2 or 3 game losing streak. Why I originally said that without thinking about Burrow and whoever would sit in Week 18, I think the Chargers are ripe for the picking right now.
Here's the thing.
I don't think they're playing well at all.
If the Broncos win the game tonight against the Chargers, they're at the Bengals next week, and then they finish up with the Chiefs.
I knew they got a tough run.
But the Chiefs at that point could be resting everybody.
Could be. I don't know. I mean, the Bills need to lose for them to do that, though. And the Bills have an easy schedule.
No, they're still a game ahead. Well,
they lost head-to-head, though,
They're 2
right?
games ahead.
Are they?
Yeah, Kansas City is 2 games ahead.
So the Chiefs could rest.
Bills have 3 losses.
If the Chiefs win these next 2.
Bills have 3 losses. The Chiefs have 1.
Okay, I thought that was a game difference, and they won the head-to-head.
No.
Okay, because I don't think the Bills are going to lose again.
No, I don't think so either.
Easy ones. So they end up 14-3 most
So
likely.
it's a super long shot for the Bengals to get there.
It is.
They've already lost to the Broncos. I'll probably pick the Broncos, or they've already lost to the Chargers. I'll probably pick the Broncos against them next week, even though
they're better.
They're a better team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't want Burrow in the postseason.
The other thing is
I don't love Herbert being in there either.
I think you'd rather at this point face the Chargers.
I think so. They're in trouble. I think they're
not getting Dobbins back.
All.
Yeah.
No, they can't run the ball at all. Interior O-line's a real problem. They were short on pass catchers to begin with, and it's not gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean,
you already beat them here 20-10 early in the season with Justin Fields, a quarterback. He also won at Denver, I get. But
Herbert's got a million injuries as well. He hasn't been quite the same player the last couple weeks either.
Yeah.
And they need him to carry the whole team, just like Burrow.
I think the Chargers are the easier out.
I tend to agree. I can't imagine the Bengals getting in the more we talk through it. Yeah.
No. Again, that 3-6 conference record right now.
Oh, it's awful. Right.
Is awful. That means they would have to sweep their last. No, I do think they're going to beat the Browns on Sunday.
I think so too.
The
Browns are done.
They might beat the brakes off of them.
Yeah.
But then
Indy doesn't have any chance. I know that was a massive loss for them, but they have 3 really easy games.
they have a chance. The Bengals still have to play.
I mean, if the Chargers, I'm just saying if the Chargers lose 2 of these next 3 or whatever.
The Bengals would have to sweep these next 3 games. Browns, Broncos, Steelers. At Steelers to even have a shot of getting in.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
I don't think so. But it would be great for the Bengals to be resting guys in Week 18.
Yeah. The Colts, on the other hand, still have.
They have the easiest schedule in the league, I think.
They get the Titans this week, at the Giants, and then the Jaguars in the final week of the season.
Yeah. I mean, that was a massive loss. I mean, that's a fireable loss to me, and I rarely say that. And I know the head coach didn't drop the ball on the 1-yard line instead of crossing the end zone. But still, I mean, that goofy play that Benito took to the house, it took 8 years to develop. I mean, like, what are you doing? You can't lose that game. And that probably is an elimination game for the Colts. But if they would have not beat themselves in that game, they'd be in the driver's seat.
They lose the tiebreaker to the Broncos. They lost to the Broncos.
Because of the head-to-head.
Because of the head-to-head.
That's why that loss was like the biggest loss of the year.
They haven't played the Chargers. Boy, if they had a cake schedule.
It's unbelievably easy, and it's so easy the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I don't think they're good, but they're just beat bad teams.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I'd love to play the Colts
you
again.
say that they have an easy schedule, but there's no such thing as an easy schedule when Anthony Richardson is your quarterback.
Yeah, but I don't think the Giants can beat anybody.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean,
but if he can't complete a pass, that's an issue. And I think, is that game in the Meadowlands? Yeah, that game's at the Meadowlands, which is not the easiest place to complete passes.
Agreed.
Especially when you're throwing deep all the time.
They're still a 10-point favorite in that game. I mean, the Giants are just
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But there's
the Titans and Jags are losable games.
Yeah. They could certainly lose to the Titans this week. I don't think
the
will.
Colts are good.
But at the same time, I'd
love to see the Colts get in the playoffs.
They're 2 games back right now with 3 to play, and they lose the tiebreaker to the Broncos. Could lose out and still beat them head to head.
There's so many people that do these playoff percentage chances and all that. I wonder what the Chargers sit at with a loss tonight, or even going into the game. I mean, they have to be still well over 50%.
They're going to win their last 2 games.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, this is a fun conversation, but man, it's hard to knock the Chargers out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
All things, they're playing as bad as they can right now, and they're still in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
It's the rest of the AFC, they have the tiebreakers.
They stacked a bunch.
Right.
They're another team that hasn't beaten a good team all season. Their best win this season is over the Broncos.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a division game. They're favored tonight, which I still don't understand. But
I mean, their wins have come over the Raiders, the Panthers, the Broncos.
that's when the Panthers were really, really bad, too. Yeah.
The Saints, the Browns, the Titans, the Bengals, the Falcons, when the Falcons were on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah.
And now they've lost the last 2 weeks to the Chiefs and Buccaneers.
They have to have the
Their losses
lowest strength of victory in the league.
Their losses are to the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Cardinals,
Cardinals good.
the Ravens, the Chiefs, and Buccaneers.
Yeah, they beat garbage teams. They lose to good teams.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the definition of that, which is okay, but that's not going to go far in the playoffs.
Yeah, their strength of victory is 339. Denver's is actually lower. Denver's is 317.
Okay.
Neither one of those two teams is really good.
No. That's what I say. That's the beauty of the 2 and 3 seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
Like going to Houston doesn't look terrible as a 5.
Their strength
But
of
hosting
victory
one
is,
of those two teams.
Houston's strength of victory is 381. And remember, they beat the Bills early in the season.
Yeah. Wow. I still have a little bit of hope for them. That the end of this season looks better than it has at points during the year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely better than the Chargers and Denver. And I think Chargers are different. It's in third in that conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the Chargers are better than the Colts and Bengals.
If you look at it, their strength of victory, those two teams' strength of victory is the lowest in the AFC.
Denver and the Chargers?
Denver and the Chargers are the only two teams that are in the it's awful.
Yeah.
I mean,
the AFC is vastly disappointing.
well, Miami's another one. Miami's strength of victory is 274.
They're not eliminated yet, right?
No.
But they have to have like miracles happen.
Well, they're right there with Indianapolis, and they have the head-to-head over Indianapolis.
Okay. The chances of coming down to those two seems slim, but
I think.
What's
No,
their
I'm sorry,
remaining?
they lost to the Colts when they had all the slappies.
without
Play
Tua.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've got the 49ers at the Browns at the Jets.
Yeah, they could go 3-0.
They could.
They're probably going to be 2-1, but
I
they
don't
could
like
go-
their chances, even against this Browns team in weather.
No. Yeah, I remember. I think Jets is on the road too. I remember looking at the schedules saying they had weather at the end
I
of the
think
year.
the Jets. The Jets just
They're
at
not
home. They haven't.
They haven't given up yet.
No.
I mean, Rodgers still playing with pride, and
He wants to show he can still play.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're better built to play in that weather than Miami is.
everybody is.
Yeah. So, but if the Chargers win tonight, it kind of makes all those points moot.
I was saying that's what I was sitting here thinking.
It kind of
It's like,
wraps everything up.
It's a huge game. Denver's going to the playoffs no matter what. I mean, I can't believe they wouldn't. But if the Chargers win tonight, they're going to be in.
Yeah.
And most likely they're both going to be in.
Probably. I think the field is kind of set. Now it's just
Yeah.
a matter of who finishes where.
Mm-hmm. I guess the Chargers still could be the 6.
Yeah, if they win
I mean,
tonight,
they win tonight,
they
we
win
go a long
tonight, they're
way.
definitely, probably the 6. Because
Yeah,
they've won both games head-to-head against Denver.
It would go a long way.
Yeah.
I'd much rather play the Chargers than Denver, though. And I don't think Denver's great, but Denver can muck it up and play defense.
Yeah.
Chargers D isn't bad, but I think Denver's
It's
D is
kind
really
of
good.
fallen off, actually,
It's-
in recent weeks.
I think they're on the field a ton, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't run the ball at all.
Not at all. So that's an interesting one to watch. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid said
Sounds like he's playing.
if he feels like he can play, he's going to play.
Yeah. I heard on the way here, he's had, I think the number was 8 high ankle sprains, in his career, and he's always played like the next week. I mean, I think the Super Bowl was one. Like, there's been a lot of high profile ones late in the year, and he always plays. I mean, he hobbles around. I think they're going to lose that game.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think they're going to lose this one, and I think they're going to lose to the Steelers.
I definitely think they're going to lose this one. And I'm curious just to see what he looks like and how well can he protect himself if they can't protect him. Because that
They
edge
can't
pass rush,
protect him.
They don't at all. That edge pass rush is on par with the Steelers, or at least in the neighborhood. I mean, those tackles aren't going to block Hunter and Anderson at all.
No.
Right.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a problem for them. And again, they're he can get rid of the ball quickly
Sure.
and move the football, but
They don't have a lot of quick get open guys either.
that's the
They
problem.
could really use Rashee Rice right now.
Like right now, they're probably going to get Hollywood Brown back this week, which is nice.
Sure,
but he's a down the field threat.
right.
He's not I'm going to throw you a bubble screen and see what you can do with it, because all you have to do is breathe on him and he goes down.
I was hearing some stuff yesterday. Like yards after catch is way lower than like.
It's because Kelsey's averaging like 8 yards a catch.
Exactly, and
that used to be his thing, like ping ponging down
Tyreek. I'm talking like the whole Mahomes era. Yards after catch is way down compared to how they're built. Get the ball out quick. Kelsey after the catch. Rashee Rice was good in that regard. Yeah. He was a huge loss for them.
Yeah, Hopkins is never open. You just
it's
throw
never
the ball
his
and
bag
he gets
anyways.
tackled.
Yeah. He goes up and gets it and goes down. But I mean, he can score touchdowns for you and stuff. I mean, Juju's not what he used to be. Worthy doesn't separate. So that they're searching, I would say. I mean, so therefore Noah Gray's getting more. Stuff like that.
Yeah, and if you watch some of the Noah Gray stuff too, he's the guy that ends up getting the ball thrown to him when Mahomes starts to move around in the pocket. I just don't know what kind of pocket movement he's going to have.
Yeah, that's a good
this
point.
Weekend.
That's a good point. And they run the ball fine, but I said this a million times. Like I know that they went after Hopkins at the trade deadline. Okay, I would have gone after like Kamara. Like Pacheco's okay, but give me a well-rounded pass-catching type guy, that you could have got on the cheap. I would have been interested in something like that.
Yeah. I just think they're
Kareem Hunt's very pedestrian.
Very beatable.
Yeah.
It's the most beatable 13-1 team I think I've ever seen.
I think they'll maybe end up 13-4 or 14-3.
Yeah. Something along those lines.
They're not in a great spot right now.
They really aren't. You don't want to be limping into the playoffs, and we'll see how the Steelers.
I think there's a good chance Buffalo ends up with a 1 seed. A lot would have to happen,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
there's a shot.
Yeah,
if they lose these next two, and I think that's why Mahomes is playing.
I would imagine. I mean, you feel the heat. The Bills are playing well. Bills are playing better than them. Everyone on the planet knows that.
In that regard, you might want Houston to win Saturday.
For the Steeler perspective, I guess. Yeah.
Then they might say, it's a short week. We're going to sit Patrick out this one and let him rest up for the finale. And
I still think that's a possibility. Like if the Chiefs win, I would think there's more likely to sit Mahomes on Christmas, because then you got a 2-game lead with 2 to play.
Right.
All you got to do is win the last one. You could give him a really long break.
You could give him 2 weeks off, then he comes out and guts it out through a game against Denver, and then he gets 2 more weeks.
That would be my plan. If he plays this week and wins, I would have a hard time playing him on Christmas.
Yeah.
That's a really short week against a great pass rush, And if he doesn't handle the pass rush well against the Texans, probably isn't going to go much better in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. The only difference is this game against the Texans is in Kansas City. You might think, we can steal a win here at home.
Without him, you mean?
With him.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then we're not going to play him against Pittsburgh.
It's the way I would try to set it up, 100%. But it sounds like, he's got a lot of say in this matter too, and I don't think he's ever going to be like, I'm cool sitting.
Yeah. I would almost right now, and I understand Carson Wentz has not been great.
Yeah, but he's not teabag.
But he's not hurt.
Right. He's at least been around the league.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't, if I'm the Steelers, I might rather face Mahomes right now. Take my chances.
I would never do that.
I'm just saying. You haven't seen him play yet.
I know, but he's the best quarterback I've ever seen.
This year. He's not played well.
He hasn't played like the best quarterback on the planet, but he's played better than
the
20th guy in the league.
If he's a sitting duck in the pocket, I'll take my chances.
Oh, not against
with this pass
not compared
rush.
to Wentz. Oh, I'll take my chances playing against him. I don't fear him like I usually would.
I think just with Wentz, there's just so much unknown because you just haven't seen him.
No, he'll throw.
What's he going to look like?
He'll have some Winston qualities too.
Yeah.
He'll have nothing to lose and throw it all over the place.
And that, to me, that unknown, because he's done it before. He's shown flashes before.
Oh, I used to be a big fan.
Yeah,
but not compared to Mahomes in any sort of. He could be in a wheelchair.
I disagree.
No way.
I disagree. I'd rather face the hobbled guy.
He's done well in those same circumstances I get it. It's better than playing him fresh. That's 100%.
He's done well
true.
in the past when he had like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce at the height of his powers.
Yeah, but in like Super Bowls and
but
AFC
those guys at
games,
the height of their powers when they could actually all he had to do was throw Kelce a 5-yard out,
right?
And he's rumbling down the field, pinballing off of guys and not getting tackled.
And Wentz doesn't have those advantages either.
Yeah, but he's healthy.
He's healthy, yeah. He's talented.
And he can run.
Oh, he can run. He's talented.
Yeah.
I'm shocked his career's gone as bad as it has the last
You have no
4 or 5
tape
years.
on him.
Right. He has tendencies, but not in that offense.
Yeah, you just don't. I'd rather face the devil I know than the devil I don't know.
That devil's too scary.
Pat
Mahomes.
The devil's missing horns and half a tail. And
yeah, he's still magic.
Yeah. You sound like Chris Collinsworth.
He's awesome.
He's not been awesome this year. He's not.
We're not talking about Jalen Hurts or
but
Dak
he's
Prescott.
Not been awesome. He's a great quarterback. I think he's the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
He's not been that guy all season long.
No, he's merely been really, really good.
I'll take my chances.
I mean,
he's got 21 touchdown passes and 11 interceptions.
Mm-hmm. What would Wentz have?
He might have 21 touchdown passes and 11 interceptions.
And they might be 3-10 as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, he's not pulled out as many of those victories as people give him credit for. He didn't block a kick against the Broncos.
No, they didn't make him drop a field goal either,
right.
or drop a snap either.
They could very easily right now be an 8-win team.
Oh, absolutely, and that's kind of what they're playing like.
Yeah,
I mean that's what they are on tape. I mean,
and it's not been all Mahomes.
No. It's not like how Josh Allen's carried. The team.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not even been like Lamar has carried the Ravens at time.
But he's done a lot of things like, I'm not going to force this thing. I'm going to play smart, Brady-esque type of management. You know,
but he's also been they're averaging fewer points per game than the Steelers.
Oh, I know. Yeah, their offense is very middle of the road.
Yeah, it's not this great offense.
No, it's not at all.
You got to be able to go in and score and beat the Chiefs. That's not who this team is.
No, I think Texans are going to beat them.
They are who they are at this point in the season. They're a team that is a struggling. People talk about the Steelers are struggling offense. The Chiefs are a struggling offense with Patrick Mahomes.
Oh yeah, no, they're not the powerhouse that they have been the last couple of years.
Not at all.
100%. They can still win the Super Bowl, but they're not.
They got Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely.
And if he's healthy,
I would not play him. If they win against Texans, I would sit him maybe until.
If I watch this game on Saturday and he's out there limping around, I'll take.
I bet he is limping around.
I'll take my chances against Willis Reed.
Not versus Wentz, but not up to us.
But
if I were Reed, I would not.
Honestly,
play him on Christmas
it's as much a tip of the cap to Andy Reid and what he's capable of doing, even on a short week, because he's had Wentz all year long now.
Yeah.
That he's gonna come up with some kind of something that Wentz can do well.
Oh yeah, they won't be a pushover with Wentz. No chance. No chance. I mean, they weren't when Henny would get in games.
I think his quarterback mobility
is certainly an asset.
Is an asset that Andy Reid would use and utilize more so than he can do with a hobbled Patrick Mahomes. That's my point.
Oh, that point's valid. I mean, he's definitely gonna move better than Mahomes.
And I think Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid is probably the best coach. There's no problem. He's the best coach in the league right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And he would come up, and he's certainly the best offensive game planner.
Yeah.
He would come up with something that would make Carson Wentz capable of beating you.
Yeah. He's going to come up with something that would make Mahomes capable of beating the Texans.
He could.
The ball's going to come out quick.
But I think I'd much rather defend that than I would a guy who's I have no tape on. I have no idea what they're going to do with him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he plays in this, if Wentz would come in and play this week against Houston at some point, at least then you have some tape on him.
Yeah.
You see, okay, he can still make this throw. He can still make that throw. He always, when he tries to escape, he always tries to escape left, or he always tries to escape right. That's
I haven't studied him. He does have a lot of tendencies over his career. Not necessarily good, like a Winston. But
have they coached that stuff out of him?
Maybe not. But I don't want to play against Pat Mahomes. I mean, you're not going to convince me that I want to play against Wentz over Mahomes.
I'll take my chances in my building with my pass rush against a guy that can't move.
I'll take my chance against both of them. I think either one's a winnable game for the Steelers.
Oh, I do
too. But if I have to pick between the two, you're never going to convince me that's not Mahomes.
All right.
Never.
Let's get to a break. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. Welcome back to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, Matt, this will be the 37th matchup between Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh over the course of their careers. Who would you say has had the better overall talent?
Wow. That's tough. I mean, how many Hall of Famers?
It's kind of gone back and forth. The Ravens have had more Hall of Famers.
I was going to say, but Ben, I'll take over all of them just in terms of importance. Not that Flacco's bad, but give me a Hall of Fame quarterback's pretty darn impressive. I would say since Ben, I would say the Ravens have had more talent.
And yet, the Steelers have won 8 of those 9 games.
Yeah.
In this decade.
Right.
They've won 8 of the last 9. Now, Lamar Jackson has only played in 5 of those, but in the games Lamar has played in, the Steelers have won 4 of the 5.
Mm-hmm. I'm still thinking, who's that better talent? I mean, think of all the defensive studs that they've both have had.
Well, think about the power rankings just in this decade.
Yeah.
When we start the season, throughout the season, I think everybody says that the Ravens have more talent than the Steelers.
Lately, for sure.
And yet the Steelers have won
eight
of the last 9 meetings between these two teams. And yet when you hear people talk about the coaches, especially locally, I'd much rather have John Harbaugh as my head coach than Mike Tomlin. Well, then how are they winning these games? How have they won 8 of 9?
Right. Oh, no.
With the Kenny Pickett's and the
when you started that
Mason
conversation,
Rudolphs
I thought you were
world.
going to say, who's had the better career, Tomlin or Harbaugh? I think it's Tomlin.
I would agree with that, too.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think they're both going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But I think Tomlin has a stronger case if they were to both retire today.
He's got more wins. He's got the same number of He's been to 2 Super Bowls.
And obviously the head-to-head stuff is noteworthy, but,
But I think the difference between the two teams right now is the head coach. I think Mike Tomlin, because, again, 37 times these guys have faced off. I think Mike Tomlin has a better understanding of John Harbaugh than Harbaugh has of Tomlin.
Yes, I absolutely believe that he would never admit this or tell us why, but I think he has not like insider dirt on him, but he has some kind of feel for this is how Harbaugh is going to prepare for us on this, or what he's going to do on 4th downs, or he's going to zag on this. We've done this to them over and over and over, and it hasn't worked. So I bet Harbaugh does this now. I think he's one step ahead.
These are like two guys playing chess against each other for 37 consecutive days.
Yeah.
Like
with immense knowledge of one another, right?
And after a while, you just learn, okay, if I move this rook here, he's going to move that pawn there, and I got him.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think that's one of Tomlin's great strengths, especially within the division and coaches he sees a lot of. Now, I think Belichick was a little better at it than Tomlin.
Yeah.
Belichick, I think, is the best ever at that, and their head-to-heads was one-sided.
Belichick was like the freaking emperor,
right?
In Star Wars,
right?
Like, with the hood on, and he's just,
exactly, and running the universe, right? With Brady and right.
Brady was Darth Vader out there doing all the dirty work, and Belichick's just sitting back there twiddling his fingers, and then shooting.
That's why I think he's the best coach of all time.
Electricity out of his hands.
Right. So I think it's sort of similar. Like Belichick knew how to attack the LeBeau defense and what Tomlin was doing, and Tomlin was a younger coach at that point. But I'm sure he learned a lesson or two from, going against that coach all the time. How do I get to be that guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's a dominance over Harbaugh, but I do think it's an edge.
I think it is too, because I think everybody would agree, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, the Ravens have had better talent.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think that, preseason power ranks or Vegas odds have always favored the Ravens going into the season.
Yeah.
Expectations going into the year by smart people, including guys like us that do this for a living, that
doesn't include us in the smart people.
No, and we're also a little leaning towards one team, but I mean, in terms of how good can that team be? The Ravens have been at the top of the list during the Lamar era. Let's call it that, because the Steelers have had Pickett. I mean, the quarterback competition lately has not been close.
Even when the Steelers had end of career Ben, the Ravens had an advantage at quarterback.
Absolutely, right.
They've had the advantage of quarterback over the Steelers
since basically Lamar's second year.
And the only time he has beaten them in that period in his career, he beat Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You got to be better than that.
Yeah, quarterback advantage.
And he had to go to overtime to do it, and he didn't even have that wasn't even him doing it. That was Marlon Humphrey forcing Juju Smith-Schuster to fumble, and then you get 10 yards and Tucker kicks a 50-plus yard field goal, and you get the win.
It's still rattling around in my brain, just their whole careers, who's had the better talent. Because I was going to say, Ben over Flacco carries a lot of weight.
Sure.
And Flacco's good. But Lamar over Duck and Pickett, you know what I mean?
I mean, now we're talking an A versus a D or an F versus an A versus a C or a C+.
And if we even just cheat and say, since both of them have been head coaches, the defenses are almost a wash.
Yeah.
The kickers are close to a wash. If we just focus on weapons and quarterback, it's like, well, there was a stretch there that Steelers had a big edge. But Flacco's a lot better than what the Steelers have played with during the Lamar era up until this year. You know, right.
So it's just I was thinking of that today as I'm trying to come up with stuff for my 5 for Friday, and that hit me. I'm like, because this, I just don't, when you start listening to people rank head coaches and things of that nature, even coming into this season, Harbaugh's a top 5 coach. Tomlin's, he hasn't done much lately. What he has done is beaten Harbaugh.
Yeah. And won in the division.
Consistently.
The whole division, too.
Yeah.
That's not fluky to me, is his knowledge of the coaches. I'm sure it goes even to the front office, ownership, how they build things, what kind of people they're trying to, what their vision is as organizations. And how can I destroy that vision,
Yeah. What do I need to do to beat that?
Mm-hmm.
And, I think a big reason why the Steelers have the guys that they have on the edge is is because they play Lamar Jackson.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Lamar and Burrow are going to dictate what you do an awful lot.
Without a doubt.
And Jamar Chase is a guy like that.
Yeah.
And certainly the rest of the division looks at Garrett and Watt and be like, we're in the division with 2 of the top dudes. We better be good at tackle. We better go sign Orlando
Henderson's
Brown. Right.
Slouch,
Yeah. I mean, we better use picks on tackles, and Steelers use 2 picks in the last 2 drafts on tackles. A lot of good edge rushers in this division. That stuff matters.
It certainly does. But it just seems to me that Tomlin just has the mental edge on Harbaugh.
I get that impression too. Head to head, he kind of feels more of the big brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to another break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this.
Good afternoon, everyone, here in Pittsburgh.
It's a very unique defensive system.
It's a zone area where you would blitz a guy that normally doesn't blitz, make the quarterback figure out what's going on.
Rush the quarterback.
I'm like, I show up on Sunday.
Don't run that over here.
And that system allows really good athletes to play in space and just to go have fun and get after opposing quarterbacks.
It was glorious. It was a lot of fun.
We got to get the ball out of there.
This is a Steelers story. Birth of Blitzburg.
And we are back. I am Dale Lolley, and he is the Matt Williamson. And it is now time for the Fantasy Football Focus. And as we always do here on Thursdays, we'll take a quick run through the injury report, see who's practicing, who is not. Today, Zane Gonzalez with the Commanders, he actually did practice today. He's dealing with a foot injury, so he'll be good to go against the Eagles. I don't know if you want to start him this week against the Eagles, though, even though Washington does kick a lot of field goals. Luke McCaffrey, also with the Commanders, his shoulder, he was limited again Thursday. Zach Ertz with a concussion, upgraded to limited on Thursday. That is good news for him. You need to get that limited practice in so they can see how well you handle any kind of physical exertion before you get cleared from the concussion. So he may be good to go this week. The Carolina Panthers added Jalen Coker with a quad injury to their injury report. He was limited on Thursday. That's significant because he's been a major part of the passing game. They're also missing Xavier Legette as well. So maybe it's time to fire up Adam Thielen again. He seems like the only guy down there that can now stay healthy because David Moore has a concussion. He was a limited participant on Thursday, so at least he's trending in the right direction. But Adam Thielen might be a guy you want to toss in the lineup there, or if you're looking for a cheap DFS start. Tommy DeVito with the Giants. The Giants had a massive injury report today. He's got a concussion. He was limited Thursday. They've already said Drew Lock is going to start. Wan'Dale Robinson with a shoulder was a full participant today. Drew Phillips, who's their talented young slot cornerback, well, he was limited today, as was Tyrone Tracy with the ankle. We'll see where that goes with Tracy. And if he's out, then Devin Singletary could be the main ball carrier for the Giants, for whatever that means. They did upgrade Drew Lock. He was limited yesterday. He has heel and elbow issues, but he will be the starter on Sunday for the Giants against the Atlanta Falcons. Deontay Banks, one of their starting cornerbacks, also limited. Malik Neighbors practiced in full on Thursday, so that's good news for him. He's dealing with some knee and foot issues. He wants to set the rookie receiving record. That's basically all they're playing for at this point. I think he needs like 18 catches over the final 3 games. So expect them to pepper him with targets to try to salvage that, because that's what losers do. You try to go set records instead of actually winning games, and that's what the New York teams are kind of stuck with at this point, just trying to go out there and do those kind of things. Michael Pittman with the Colts with that back issue was back today. He logged a full practice, so you can go ahead and, well, he's not been great with Anthony Richardson, but that's better than, Alec Pierce is dealing with a concussion, so that doesn't sound good for him. So Pittman might be very usable if Pierce is out. We'll see about that. Matt Gay with the neck. He was a non-participant on Thursday. That's significant. He's their place kicker, and you don't typically have another one of those hanging around, so they may have to do something to go have a place kicker available for them on Sunday. As I mentioned, Alec Pierce remained sidelined Thursday with that concussion, so that doesn't sound good for him. Tony Pollard officially did not practice again on Thursday. He's dealing with an ankle issue. We'll see how that goes, but certainly if he doesn't play, that is significant, and Tyjae Spears gets a big bump if that happens. Against the Colts defense is not great against the run, and if Spears is also catching passes, Mason Rudolph will throw him the ball, so that's interesting there. Nick Folk missed practice today. Yet another kicker who is dealing with an injury. That's an abdomen issue, so make sure you check your kicker situation going this week. Joe Mixon going into that game against the Houston Texans. He is off the injury report for Week 16 with that ankle injury, so he'll be in RB1 territory as he's been all season long. Although he hasn't scored a touchdown in 3 weeks, so it will be tough running against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, no question. I mean, that's still a really good defense. I'm not sure exactly what we were talking about at the moment. Sorry.
Joe Mixon, yeah, and the Chiefs.
Their run game's really bad, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I hope that for their sake, they really tried to address at the bye week. It's been a lot better when he's in there, and it's a lot of volume. But their blocking's bad. The running game, top to bottom for the whole season, it's been really bad. But he's still been able to put up numbers.
Yeah.
How
about this news? Chris Olave has had his practice window open today.
I picked him up in our league when I was in the parking lot.
He's been cleared. He's not going to play this week.
No. I don't know if he'll play at all.
I doubt if he plays next week.
Right.
Maybe they try to get him might be the last week of the season. Who knows?
I don't know if Carr comes back at any point this season. I think there's still a chance for that.
They're going to run Spencer Rattler out there this week as a starter.
Awful.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what their intentions are. I'm sure the head coach is doing everything possible to, put in his effort for the job, and they did change things around with the change. But Kamara, Carr, Olave, you shut them all down, or do you?
They are shutting Kamara down
for the whole season.
Yeah,
that's a done deal. Okay.
Yeah,
which it should. But Kendre Miller could still be okay there.
Yeah,
not this week.
I just don't know that I'd rush Olave back at all.
I was shocked that they even announced it.
Yeah, unless he really wants to play one more game this year just to show that he's back.
In our league, I only picked him up because my last roster spot was basically useless at the time.
Yeah,
I had the rookie running back from the Dolphins, right?
Yeah,
who's a third-string guy. I'm gonna want to cut him anyways. I'll pick him up.
I did the same thing with Hollywood Brown a couple of weeks ago. Just okay, maybe he makes it back. Mm-hmm. Who knows when? But
I might cut him in an hour.
Yeah,
right. So he's a really good player and certainly noteworthy. But I'm not optimistic at all about anything with that organization, let alone their offense and quarterback situation. Why would you bring Carr back? I mean, and Kamara makes all the sense in the world not to.
Geno Smith said he expects to play in Week 16.
I think that's massive, just because
they couldn't operate.
They couldn't operate. I mean, he might be my last choice of quarterbacks. Operating behind that offensive line.
Yeah,
he can do good things in the fantasy world. He could get the ball to Smith and Jigba and Metcalf and all those type of dudes, but not. Like you said, they can't operate.
Not when he's under siege.
Not when he's because he holds the ball forever. I mean,
And he's a shorter guy. Again, you know,
yeah,
he hasn't
he's
learned
gonna
how
put
to
the ball in Hard's way too.
hasn't learned how to find
right.
the windows and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you realize a player's value. George Pickens, you know, when they're not there.
Yeah.
And Geno's a great example of that. Of he's able to keep that ship at least on the tracks, that train on the tracks, despite the problems with the line, where Howell can't.
Mentioned that Mahomes was removed from the injury report for Week 16. DJ Humphries ruled out for Week 16. So I would guess they bumped their offensive line around again, moved Thuney out to
I would
to tackle.
imagine. I guess they think that's the best approach. There's no good approach,
No.
but I think that's their thoughts is the best approach.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know about that one. Roschon Johnson with the concussion practiced in full on Thursday. Their running back situation is a little messy right now, and they could use him.
Yeah, he's a stabilizing force. Even like going back to Texas, everybody loved him. He played special teams. He had no problem being behind Bijan. Like real team guy, high character, picks up the blitz. You know, like does all the little things the coaches love. Barring injury, he's going to last in the league a long time. I mean, he's never going to be a featured type of player, but he'll be a favorite in Chicago or whatever coaching staffs he's with for the next 8 years or whatever. Swift is okay, but he's volatile, and their blocking's not great either.
Jalen Waddle not seen at practice on Thursday.
Really? I mean, he was ruled out pretty quick in that game.
Dealing with the knee issue, yeah.
Got a 0 right off the bat, anyway, I started him in one league. I mean, Washington might be the guy. I mean, we're digging really deep, but Malik Washington's the one that they really like.
Cut some
Beckham's
balls
gone.
in that game, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he might be the 2, like for DFS reasons.
Teron Armstead.
Is he still up in the air too?
Still up in the air, yeah. He was not practicing today, so I just don't know about that team. Yeah, I think they're soft.
Oh, I very much believe that, but they can be very fantasy friendly.
They can be, early in the season,
or even that stretch when Tua came back and it looks like they're hitting a wall now. But they played Houston last week.
Yeah,
Houston put them in a blender. I mean, like that Texans defense is really good.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely a top 5 unit, but they really neutralized the Dolphins, especially once Waddle went out. And
yeah,
I love a Chan, but he can't be that kind of workhorse player either. I mean,
he's just not an every down guy.
How do you go into the season saying that's my goal line back?
It was 180
I mean, that's
pounds.
the last thing he should be doing.
With a bad offensive line.
Right, over and over.
I get it if you're the Eagles and you have a 180-pound running back and you're running the Lions offensive line out there. They're
they'll do it with Gibbs.
Yeah,
right.
But I mean, this isn't that.
No, it's not that at all. And I thought Tua played really well coming back from injury. He's not the problem. It's just they need to re-examine. I got a running joke on one of my podcasts about them. It's like too many Ferraris, not enough dump trucks. I mean, I need a guard. I need a guy that can move people. Give me Mike Allstott.
Yeah.
Throw him in the mix.
Let's look at putting together a DFS lineup for tonight with the captain's chair.
Okay.
So in the captain's chair, you got Bo Nix at 15,000. Justin Herbert is 14.7. Cortland Sutton 14.4. Ladd McConkey 14.1.
No worries about McConkey, right?
No. Quentin Johnston is 12.6. Javonte Williams is 11.4. Gus Edwards 10.5. Kamani Vidal is 10.2. Jeez.
He's kind of the starter.
Josh Palmer is 9.6. Then you're looking at all the backup quarterbacks. Audric Estime is 8.4. Dicker the kicker is 8,100.
I think I want both defenses in the lineup, by the way.
Will Lutz is 7,800. Chargers defense is 7,500. The Broncos defense is 7,200. Marvin Mims, 6,600. Stone Smart, 6,300. Vele, 6,000.
He's not terrible.
No. Then you're getting into some little Jordan
I just don't know
Humphries.
who do you want to spend big money on.
Who do you want?
Who do you want in the captain's
You put
chair?
one of the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks aren't overly expensive to put in the captain's chair. I mean,
Herbert's got so many injuries.
I want to look at it. Whatever. So there's nobody in the game valued at more than $10,000. And that's Nix.
Doesn't surprise me. I was kind of leaning towards Sutton in the captain's chair.
Sutton or McConkey?
Yeah, those are the two I like too.
McConkey's a little bit cheaper, and he'll
Let's
He'll
do
work out of the
McConkey.
slot.
Oh, he's really good.
Yeah. All right. So that gives us some flexibility there. So Bo Nix is 10,000. Justin Herbert's 9,800. Sutton is 9,600. I think you have to have Sutton in the lineup.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, you got to spend money somewhere in this
Yeah.
group. I mean, let's put a couple guys we like.
We're going to need somebody cheap.
There's not many guys I'm like going to stand on the table for.
Josh Palmer, 6,400. I'm going to go to the cheap guys here.
Smart.
Estime is 5,600.
I guess he's the true handcuff now, the backup. Might he play a third of the snaps?
The defenses
40%
are
of
both
snaps?
like
really appealing.
The Broncos defense is 4,800. The Chargers defense is 5,000.
I think I'd get them both in. But I just don't know where you spend up then if you go all these cheap guys.
Well, that allows us then to spend. We got 2 spots left, $8,250 to spend on that.
Do you want to get a quarterback involved?
Do you want to get Bo Nix, $10,000?
Do we want him over Herbert?
I think so. He'll run more.
The running.
Yeah.
Herbert's injuries.
Herbert's not going to run.
I don't think he's going to run much.
Yeah. So that then leaves us 6,500, which would get us Josh Palmer. That would get us Dicker the kicker, Will Lutz.
I was leaning towards kickers and defense.
Stone Smart, Vele. We'd have a bunch of money left over, though, if we do that.
On all those dudes, you mean?
Yeah.
They're all.
The only one that if we bought
Who's like ahead of Palmer on the list?
Vidal at 6,800. Gus Edwards at 7,000. Yuck.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams at 7,600.
I don't trust him at all.
We don't need any of those guys.
It's a brutal game, but it's kind of fun to still build the puzzle.
What's Josh Palmer done the last?
Is Johnston more expensive than Palmer?
2 catches for 10 yards last game. 9 for 78 against Kansas City. 1 for 11. 8 for 38. 4 for 23. It's not been great.
No.
I mean, Vidal had 3 carries for 9 yards and 3 catches for 13 yards last time out. It's not like he's the starter.
Mm-hmm. No, I know. Nor has he done anything.
Yeah. I mean, we could pay up and put.
I'm trying to think down the line, cheap
We
guys.
could pay up and put Bo Nix in the captain's chair.
You got to spend our money somewhere. I guess that makes more sense.
Let's see, because he's going to score points.
I'm sure he will, but I don't love. I mean, there's no good options for this game, but I don't love putting a ton of stock in Bo Nix to save our soul. But it's the best option.
It's the best option. Then you put
McConkey
in.
Sutton.
That leaves us 6,200. So then we can't get. Then we lose out on Palmer.
Yeah, but a lot of those guys similar to him aren't much different.
No.
Can we get a kicker?
Then we have all kinds of money left over.
Yeah. I thought we were. So what?
I mean, we'd have. So if we had Dicker, we'd have $800 left over.
Okay. Where could we finagle some stuff around?
I mean,
It sounds like we're going to eat money no matter
both
what.
defenses are cheap. Cheap.
And we have them both in.
We have them both.
What if we pulled the Broncos out?
What if I like the Broncos defense better though?
Oh, I meant the Chargers. I do.
Chargers,
too.
yeah.
I do too.
So if you pull the Chargers, that leaves us 11-2. Now you can get Herbert, you can get Quentin Johnson, you get Javonte Williams, Gus Edwards, Kamani Vidal, Josh Palmer. I mean,
that sounds better to me. I mean, I don't love Herbert to go crazy tonight, but he's starting quarterback.
Then who do you put in?
What would we have left?
We have 11-2 to fill 2 spots.
So it'd have to be like Herbert and someone super cheap.
Or Quentin Johnston and somebody super cheap. Something along those lines.
How about like Vele and someone kind of expensive?
What has Vele done? Vele's 4,000. He had 1 target, no catches last game. He had 1 catch for 16 yards, 6 for 80, 4 for 66, 4 for 39.
Ugh. What about Estime? He's the true 2.
5 carries for 13 yards, 1 catch for 5 yards last time out. Over the last
played some of that game. Right?
Over the last 2.8.
He's done anything.
2.8, 1.2, 1.5, 5.5, 5.3. That's his point totals.
Can we get Herbert in
the
a
Chargers,
defense or
the
kicker?
Chargers defense over the last 1.4 points, 19 points, no points, 3 points.
Yeah, it hasn't been great. I mean, Denver's is much better.
Stone Smart, at least, is coming off a game. He had 3 catches for 54 yards and 5 catches for 50 in his last 2 games.
I have no qualms with that.
That would then leave us 7,000. That would get us Gus Edwards.
Ugh.
That would spend all of our money.
Has Edwards done anything lately? Their running game's been so bad. He doesn't catch any passes.
7.1, 4.3, 9.6, 2.3. He needs to fall into the end zone to be
Like,
worth
I would
anything.
rather have Herbert than both those guys combined. I'd rather have Herbert and
All
someone
right.
that's inactive.
So let's do this then. Let's bump Stone Smart out. If we go Herbert, now we have 1-4 left. That would get us Hassan Haskins.
I think he's their goal. Well, he was their goal line back when Gus was out.
Yeah. He
He might not even be active.
0-0 minus 1.3.1.
Minus 1?
He fumbled.
Yeah.
I'd rather like little Jordan Humphrey.
Is there a blocking tight end that might catch a touchdown?
Little Jordan Humphrey in Week 11 against Atlanta had 15.2 points.
He must have caught a touchdown.
Yes. He had 4 for 52 and a touchdown. The next week he had 2 catches for 4 yards, and he's got 1 target in the last 2 weeks. Yuck.
Oh, this is a tough bill.
This is a tough one. Wow. Yeah, there's not
not many options.
Laviska Shenault.
I don't know if he even plays.
He had -1 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's what you don't want to put somebody in there who's going to give you a 0.
What if we had both defenses, both kickers?
We're going to have a bunch of money left over if we have all that.
Well, I know. Could then
I'd rather have both quarterbacks and one of these guys is
someone that doesn't
going to take a
play.
0.
Yeah,
Lucas Krull. How about Lucas Krull? He had 2 catches for 8 yards the last time out. All right, so the last 2 games, Lucas Krull has 3 catches for 24 yards.
He's a good one, actually.
2 catches for 8 yards.
Because he plays. I mean, he'll be on the field at least.
You're not going to maybe take a 0 there.
He might catch a 2-yard touchdown. Probably not.
Probably not. But
of course.
That gets you down, both quarterbacks.
Like, Krull gets us 2 points, we win, right? I mean, like.
Yeah, that's a win.
That's for what you're paying for him, right?
So you got Bo Nix in the captain's chair.
Mm-hmm.
Cortland Sutton, Justin Herbert, the Broncos defense, Ladd McConkey, and Lucas Krull.
Okay. I mean, we're playing with one guy short, but we got all the good dudes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Krull's not.
And if Krull does anything, it's gravy.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
It's 2 passes.
It's locked in.
All right.
There we go.
Okay.
Sounds like a winner.
I could see Sutton and McConkey having good games.
I mean, you got both quarterbacks. You should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's our fantasy lineup. Again, Bo Nix in the captain's chair, Broncos defense, Justin Herbert, Lucas Krull, Ladd McConkey, and Cortland Sutton.
Good enough. Yeah.
All you got to do is finish, again, 50-50, finish in the top half. So,
not an easy game to do it.
No, not as easy as some of the more recent ones, but that's what makes these ones interesting.
Yeah, it's quite the puzzle to build.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, except no imitations. And this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And, of course, you can hear The Drive every Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. And we'll do a hell of a show tomorrow, even though I am leaving tomorrow to go to Baltimore.
Yeah.
We will still have our show.
We'll record early, so if there's any late news, our apologies, but that's all right.
But we have to have the show for y'all to listen to.
We're gonna record on Christmas Eve, right?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't we? You know,
of course.
Big game the next day.
Right.
You know, we'll do it all those days. But anyways, so Bill Barnwell has put together a list here on ESPN ranking the worst mistakes for all 32 teams since 2020.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't realize it was that recent. I saw the headline and actually just scrolled down to the Steelers super quick and went, oh, yeah, that's probably a good pick.
He's ranked them in order of magnitude.
Biggest mistakes.
Yeah. And you didn't have to scroll very far to get to the Steelers one because their mistake wasn't as bad as some of the other ones.
Teams, right?
Yeah.
I think it puts it in perspective, probably. I'm excited to go through these because I'm sure I knew where the Steelers were, and I have to admit, most teams over the course of 4 to 5 years have made big
mistakes.
Big mistakes. It's not uncommon.
So at 32 are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their biggest mistake was signing Russell Gage to a 3-year, $30 million contract in 2022.
Like, that's terrible, but so what? You just move on.
Yeah.
Right. No big deal.
Green Bay's biggest mistake in 2022, using first-round picks on Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt.
I'm not even sure that story's written. They haven't been great.
Wyatt's been really bad.
They both have been bad.
Yeah.
But, again, if that's your worst mistake, still, imagine what you could have done with 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, you had 2 first-round picks.
And they weren't super early, but they weren't 32 either.
Right. At 30 are the Steelers.
Wow.
Using a first-round pick on Kenny Pickett in 2022.
Okay.
And I can't even I know people, hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
You used a 20th pick in the draft.
To maybe get a franchise
Not the
quarterback.
second pick.
Right, exactly.
Not a top 5 pick, not a top 10 pick, the 20th pick on a quarterback when your quarterback had retired.
Yep. And I remember, of course, we did so much draft coverage that year. And I remember when the Steelers were on the clock, who my number one guy was still on the board, was Dax Hill. Would they be in a lot better shape with Dax Hill? No.
Yeah,
no.
It might have just been a bad draft. The first 3 guys on here, look, the last team using first-round picks on Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the 2022 draft wasn't very good overall.
Well, it was a terrible quarterback class. The Ritters are on new teams.
Those guys are both considered first-round picks, though, and they haven't worked out yet.
Right. Yeah. That should be the bottom of the list. And again, it wasn't a hard thing to move on from.
And the book to me on Pickett still isn't written yet.
No, I still think he has a chance to be a contributor.
Of the guys in that quarterback class, not including Brock Purdy, and I still have questions about Brock Purdy, but he's certainly been the most effective one.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of wins and losses and
late career Geno Smith resurgence or not.
Potentially happen.
But I thought he did some good things here too,
At 29, see, this would rank much higher for me. Drafting Jeff Okudah with the 3rd overall pick by the Detroit Lions.
You miss on a top 5
in 2020.
Pick.
Yeah,
that's almost unforgivable.
You spent the 3rd overall pick in a draft on a guy that couldn't play.
Right. Because that's different than, I don't know when we get to the Jags, but maybe hypothetically the Jags will took Trevon Walker instead of Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
That's a mistake. But Trevon Walker's a good starter.
He's a good player.
He's not Okudah that's the
3rd overall pick in the draft.
Right.
Come on, you got to hit that.
They got to at least be a starter.
The Buffalo Bills at 28, signing Von Miller to a 6-year, $120 million contract in 2022. A lot of teams made mistakes in 2022.
Yeah, it was a rough year, right? Coming off COVID, and things were a little weird. But their logic, it hurt them, and it's still hurting them a little bit, was we're Von Miller away from being the best team in the league.
Yeah.
We can close teams out. Miller had just won the Super Bowl with the Rams, from what I remember. He got injured since then. So it's explainable.
Yeah. 27, Washington. Drafting Emmanuel Forbes with the 16th overall pick in 2023.
They took him ahead of Christian Gonzalez, from what I remember.
Yeah, that was questionable when it happened. He's a 160-pound cornerback.
And he's benched already.
Yeah.
That should be lower.
He's on another team.
Is he on
already?
Team?
Yeah, they cut him.
Yeah.
I think he's with the Rams now, or one of those teams. Yeah.
And Christian Gonzalez is really, really good. And I kind of felt like anyone could see that Gonzalez is better than Forbes as a prospect. You know what I mean? Like when the Steelers traded for Broderick Jones, I thought it might be for Gonzalez.
Yeah.
That should be lower because, that's already got 0 out of a pick from a year ago.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
At 26, the Philadelphia Eagles signing James Bradbury to a 3-year, $38 million contract in 2023.
He was declining at that point, so there is – but that doesn't destroy your organization by any means. You draft 2 corners the next year, and now you're the best defense in the league.
At 25, the Cowboys choosing Michael Gallup over Amari Cooper in 2022.
What they're saying is they traded Cooper because they were so
thought
excited
Gallup
about the young guy.
Yeah.
And now they've been looking for number 2 ever since.
Yeah.
Okay. But Cooper also was money. I mean, you got a draft pick in return. I don't know what exactly it was, but they didn't get chump change for him. And you got him off your books.
Yeah.
That you used elsewhere. That happens.
At 20, I think their biggest mistake was continuing to think that Ezekiel Elliott could play.
Yeah. They have some extensions that aren't great of their own.
24 is the Bengals, signing Trey
Maybe
Waynes.
Mazzie Smith, too.
Oof.
That hasn't worked out at all. What was this one?
Signing
Bengals.
Trey Waynes to a 3-year, $42 million deal in 2020.
Signing corners isn't usually a good business.
No, not the long-term stuff.
No, right. They're like, very volatile.
It's up and down, and you might get a good year out of them.
It's a bad one.
3 years, $42 million.
You could certainly point to a lot of defensive draft picks of late,
I could point
too.
to
Miles Murphy and
signing Orlando Brown to a big deal,
it's a big deal, too. I don't mind overspending to protect a franchise quarterback, but that's not a good deal.
We're allowing DJ Reader to leave.
Right. Spend money on him as opposed to Brown and draft someone or whatever.
The Saints, boy,
that has to be something.
They would have a bunch on here, but handing Cam Jordan a 2-year, $27.9 million extension in 2023.
I'm sure there's worse ones than that, to be honest with you, in terms of money spent.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Jordan is he's kind of their Cam Hayward.
Right.
He's
going
to go in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
He's their Brandon Graham. There's value. He's in charge of the locker room. That stuff matters.
I mean, I might look at that and say, I mean, they've done some.
They extended Kamara this year.
Yeah.
Where are you going with that?
They gave Taysom Hill a bunch of money.
Like to be a part-time player.
Yeah. More than $10 million a year. Like
they've made a lot. I mean, just kicking the can down the road over and over and over is really their mistake.
I don't know if I'd consider this one the worst one for this team either. Kansas City Chiefs, biggest mistake, using a first-round pick on Clyde Edwards-Helaire in 2020. Well, first of all, it was the 32nd pick in the draft.
It's really late.
To me, the bigger mistake for them might be this year going into the season with those two tackles or with those multiple tackles, none of whom can play. And they're paying Jawan Taylor money.
Yeah, maybe his signing in general. He's not the worst right tackle in the league, but he's expensive. And
he's getting paid like he is the best.
He's really, yeah. Now, they at least drafted Suamataia to say, we know we got a problem at left tackle. He's just not ready.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows if he ever will be, but he's not ready.
Here's the thing. The next pick after Clyde Edwards-Helaire was T. Higgins.
Wow. See, I always made the joke that I bet Andy Reid would always go out to practice every day, look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire and say, I wish you were Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Because nobody was saying imagine if Jonathan, that was, right. Most people thought Jonathan Taylor was the best back in that draft. We liked Dobbins a lot. He got injured. But if it was, the other backs weren't bad. So that was the Taylor Swift draft, You
just wanted to throw that in there one last time.
One more time, yeah. And then there was Akers was the last one.
Even Swift in that offense would be
better.
Yeah.
Right. If it was any of those other ones, except for probably Akers, that wouldn't have made the list.
Yeah. 21, the New York Giants.
Oh, they got a lot. It has to be Brandon or Jones extension, right?
Signing Kenny Golladay to a 4-year, $72 million contract in 2021.
Easy one to forget, and that's really horrible. Really horrible.
He had like 12 catches for him.
I say, how many catches in a Giants uniform did he have?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not good.
That's terrible. That's worse than extending Jones. Or letting Barkley walk.
Yeah. Number 20, the Ravens. Signing Odell Beckham to a 1-year, $15 million, fully guaranteed contract last year.
I vividly remember the drive that day. I'm like, what are they thinking?
Oh,
that is a terrible contract, and it 100% was.
People. I still get the question: should the Steelers sign Odell Beckham? No. He might be the most overrated player of this generation.
The last 6 years are.
He had like 2 good years with the Giants, and everything else he's been hurt. I know he made all the highlight. He made the one-handed catch once in a game, and but he goes through that warm-up. He is an average wide receiver and has been for the last decade.
It's been a long time. Yeah, he's been on a lot of teams. He's probably going to sign with somebody else at some point. He's a free agent as we speak.
Yeah, the Dolphins cut him.
Cut him. Right.
Number 19.
And didn't save a lot of cap space by doing it or anything like that.
They just got rid of him. We want this guy out of here.
Yeah, Andy's distracting.
19, the Colts. Trading first and third round picks to the Eagles for Carson Wentz in 2021.
Ouch. Yeah. I was thinking maybe thinking you could get another year out of Matt Ryan.
That
was
would be
really bad.
That would be high up there too.
Yeah,
drafting Anthony Richardson with that.
At least that's incomplete. But those two quarterbacks couldn't do it.
They can't get it right at quarterback.
Rivers.
Yeah.
I mean, everything post Luck has been crap.
Really
been bad. Been really bad.
Yeah. Like they've had a good roster,
right?
And they keep swinging and missing at the quarterback.
I mean, the
position.
Rivers and Ryan thing.
Oof.
I mean, they were great players at one point, but
at that point, they were the worst quarterbacks in the league.
They've been like signing Ben after his elbow, or Breeze at the end, or Eli at the end. I mean, like they had nothing left.
18 is the Chargers signing J.C. Jackson to a 5-year, $82.5 million contract in 2022.
He gave them nothing.
The Vikings was failing to land useful players on day 1 and 2 of the 2022 NFL draft.
They've had 1 or 2 brutal drafts.
Yeah. 16, the Dolphins. Tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton in 2019 through 2022.
They cost some picks, right?
They cost some draft picks. Yeah. And they didn't get either one of them.
They ended up with either one. Okay.
15, the Arizona Cardinals, signing Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim to contract extensions in 2022, and then moving on from them both at the end of that year.
Yeah, that's just owner money, though.
They've made some bigger mistakes, like
if you
drafting Isaiah Simmons and not knowing what you're going to do with him.
Reddick.
I
mean, all those defensive guys they picked and they know what to do with them. I mean, that's a problem, but the owner's only mad because he's still paying them.
Yeah.
I mean, you just move on from him. Fire him.
The Raiders hiring Josh McDaniels as head coach in 2022.
How about every Mike Mayock draft? I mean, he didn't hit on anybody.
No.
I'm not sure if that correlates to 2020 or not, but every one of his drafts was horrendous.
13, the Rams, signing Allen Robinson to a 3-year, $46.5 million contract in 2022.
Yeah, and the Steelers took him off their hands. Basically gave up nothing for him.
Yeah.
It's not catastrophic, though.
It's a pretty big deal.
I mean,
they had to eat a lot of cap.
I'm surprised it's that high on this list, though.
Yeah. Yeah, they had to eat $10.8 million salary in 2023 on Allen Robinson.
Okay. I mean, there's some other big salary eats coming up here.
Yep. The Seahawks trading 2 first-round draft picks for Jamal Adams in 2020.
That's a horrendous move.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Right, that was terrible.
Can't do that. Never.
That's not 2 for Khalil Mack.
You go to the penalty box, you feel shame.
Yeah, that's bad.
11, Chicago trading a second-round draft pick for Chase Claypool in 2022. A lot of this stuff was 2022, coming out of COVID.
Yeah, I guess it was
trying to get fans back in the stadium again.
Mm-hmm. Trubisky was before that.
Yeah,
right.
The Tennessee Titans swapping out A.J. Brown for Treylon Burks in a trade with the Eagles in 2022.
That's pretty horrible, but the Georgia tackle they drafted that never played in the first round was pretty bad too.
I saw something this
Farley.
week. So John Robinson, who was the GM of the Titans at that time, was the one who pulled off that trade.
The A.J. Brown one.
Yeah.
And Vrabel went nuts.
And if you remember, Vrabel, they had the camera in their room, and Vrabel just went and walked away. What
are we doing?
What are we doing? So John Robinson interviewed for the Jets job this week. And somebody said, well, that means they're going to, if they hire John Robinson, they're going to get Vrabel. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I don't think they're buds.
I don't think they're best buds after what that happened there. Are you kidding me?
Boy, some of their picks, Farley and Wilson was the tackle.
Yeah.
Really
Wilson would have been.
Wilson's one of the worst draft picks ever.
He never played
up. Yeah, I don't think he ever played for him.
Number 9, the Patriots hiring Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as lead architects for the offense in 2022. That was pretty high up there.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
But there's some late Belichick things that are real bad.
Yeah. 8, the Falcons signing Kirk Cousins to a 4-year, $180 million contract in 2024.
Hard to argue with that.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Not gone well.
The Texans trading DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals in 2020.
Yeah, they traded him for David Johnson, who was at the end of his rope.
Yeah, he was done.
And they got a 4th-round pick or something back.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hopkins had good years still.
Jacksonville.
People forget how bad the Texans were as an organization.
Oh, yeah.
For a while.
Hiring Urban Meyer as head coach in 2021.
Really miserable season.
Oh.
Really miserable season.
Kicking his kicker and
yeah.
Didn't know who Aaron Donald was.
Yeah.
5, the Carolina Panthers, trading DJ Moore and multiple first-round draft picks to the Bears to move up to draft Bryce Young, number 1 overall.
Yeah. That's a low-hanging fruit, and you could even say instead of Stroud. But they might have a quarterback out of it.
They might, but they gave up a lot to get
it's too much
a mediocre quarterback.
Yeah.
A middle-of-the-road quarterback.
Too little.
San Francisco 49ers at number 4. Trading 3 first-round draft picks to move up for Trey Lance in 2021.
It's a catastrophic trade.
Yeah.
And they got away with it because they have other great players, and they found Purdy.
They found Purdy, who
right.
Now you got to decide whether they're going to pay Purdy.
But just hypothetical, say they still found Purdy and had 3 more first-round picks.
3 first-round picks instead of Trey Lance,
right?
Who hasn't played yet.
No, and he never will.
No. Number 3. The New York Jets, trading for Aaron Rodgers in 2023.
Horrible.
But
they didn't give up all that much.
They've made bigger mistakes than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't go 14 years out of the playoffs.
I at least understood it at the time.
I think what the mistake was then signing all of.
Then you double down
on it. Bringing in Nathaniel Hackett, and bringing in Randall Cobb, it's just come on, man.
You can't give him the keys to the car. Too.
No. That was where the mistake was made.
Mm-hmm.
The Denver Broncos are at number 2, trading for and extending Russell Wilson in 2022. That, to me, wasn't – I think the 2 biggest mistakes, or 2 of the 3 biggest mistakes, both involved Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah. Like, I understand the
hiring
Wilson
Nathaniel Hackett for the Broncos, thinking we're going to get Aaron Rodgers.
Hackett was kind of Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
I mean, he got
he didn't
fired.
Even make it. He made it like 8 games into the season.
Really early into his tenure.
Yeah.
Like earlier than I can remember. Now, they gave up a lot for Wilson, didn't get much out of it. There's no question about that. But that was an awful coaching.
Awful. Number 1.
Division rival has not been brought up yet, right.
The Highlanders of the worst moves
I think in NFL
all
history.
Time.
Right.
The Cleveland Browns trading for Deshaun Watson and signing him to a 5-year, $230 million contract that doesn't even include all the draft picks they gave up.
Very, very many.
Fully guaranteed contract.
Or the off-the-field stuff.
Yeah.
That you knew you were inheriting.
Next year will be the first year since they've made that trade that they'll have a first-round draft pick of their own.
And they're probably going to – well, they don't have a quarterback.
And they don't have a quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Pretty terrible.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. The Steel, that was
some fond memories on there.
Oh, some big ones that we laughed at and chuckled at when they happened.
Yeah. And a lot of them we didn't see coming either. I mean, this is a volatile league, obviously, but wow.
Yeah.
There's some mistakes on there.
That was Bill Barnwell's biggest mistakes of the decade by NFL teams. We're going to get to a break. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. We'll be back to finish up the show right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And we finally have the Ravens' final injury report for the week. And as we guessed, they list Rashad Bateman as questionable.
That sounds like a long shot to me.
But he's in a walking boot today. He's not playing on.
He got injured yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a real long shot.
They list Aguilar as questionable.
Do they have a history of doing funny business with injury reports, or are they pretty on the up and up?
I don't recall, but this one seems a little highly questionable. Aguilar didn't practice all week long with a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the concussion protocol for the NFL is that you have to have some activity,
ramp-up day, and
then see how you feel the next day.
Well, they play in 2 days.
They play in 2 days, and he didn't do anything all week long. They list him as questionable. He's not playing.
There's like no chance.
I wonder if they're holding out hope there because they know Bateman's not. They're hoping one of those 2 guys can come through. They don't want to declare them out yet.
But I'm not sure how Aguilar even could.
Yeah, that's my kind of my point.
Right,
He's
not
not
going to
happen.
Activity.
He's not going to get cleared Saturday morning and play in the game.
Yeah.
That
So they're
going to be
down 2 receivers, 99% chance.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson, of course,
he's not part of the mix.
Not part of the team right now. They just told him to stay away. So, again, down 3 receivers. Jalen Armour-Davis, a cornerback, he didn't practice all week long. He is out. Daniel Falele, who is their starting right guard.
Yeah.
Questionable. He was limited all week long with a knee issue.
You mentioned he's led the team in snaps.
He's the only offensive player on the team that has played 100% of the offensive snaps this year.
Not particularly well. But
he's not good.
Right.
But he's probably
better than
he's better than whoever's behind him.
I was trying to figure out how they would do that. I should know this better, but Voorhees used to be the left guard.
Yeah, I guess they would put Voorhees or move Macari
I would
over
say
to
Macari is their swing guy.
But I don't know that I love putting Voorhees in front of Cam Hayward.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right?
Like, that's not ideal.
I think Macari's been playing over Voorhees at left guard.
Yes.
And now I imagine you take Macari and put him at right guard. That's the beauty of having a guy like that.
Right.
Everyone would like to have him, but he's really not good enough to be a starter anywhere. You know?
Yeah.
He's a six-man. Voorhees has been problematic.
That's an issue.
It is.
That's an issue in this game.
You probably got worse at two spots.
Yeah, Justice Hill was finally back today. He didn't practice on Tuesday or Wednesday because of a personal issue. He was back today. Adisa Isaac, one of their outside linebackers, full participant the last 2 days, so he's not on the injury report. But Odafe Owa has an ankle. He was limited yesterday and today after practicing on Tuesday. He's questionable for this game.
I like Van Noy a lot, but I think Owe is probably their best pure pass rusher at this point. He's not phenomenal, but I think everyone remembers him coming out of Penn State. He was an amazing athlete that had 0 sacks his last.
No sacks.
0. I mean, which is
he
bonkers.
Blue-Tarski'd his final year at Penn State,
and he's turned into something. I mean, he's been worth the pick. You know, it's been a little bit of a slow burn.
Some time.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a slow burn, and I think I'd have to double check, but I think his sacks have come in bunches against bad teams.
Yeah,
but that's what decent players do,
Darius Washington, they're starting strong or free safety, however you want to call him, because they rotate those guys back and forth. He was limited on Tuesday and Wednesday with an ankle. He was a full participant today and does not have an injury designation. But
okay. I mean, I don't think he changes the balance of power at all. I still think you're going after him.
I think you go after him, and if he's dealing with an ankle issue.
Maybe he's a step slow to begin with or whatever. Yeah.
So not great for them.
No, the receiver
coming out of
thing,
their bye and then a game where they beat up on the Giants last week.
Right, and then you get a guy gets hurt in practice this week.
2 guys, really, because Owe got hurt on that was Wednesday as well.
Oh, wow. I mean, you lose Owe and Bateman not in a game. Ouch.
It's meaningful.
It absolutely is. The receiver situation's tenuous. We've had that conversation. Both these teams are pretty depleted there right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But, Matt, we'll talk more about this game in particular tomorrow as we wrap things up, make our picks, make our regular DFS pick, all that fun stuff, preview all the games this weekend, and we'll have, a game from tonight to talk about.
Yeah, a good one.
Good one.
Big one. AFC playoff teams going over the next couple of days.
Big one in the AFC playoff chase. But for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site, running the Justin Miller hotline and making sure we sound okay, and for Tyler Vittmeyer, making sure our video makes it out there onto YouTube, I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.